The police are bracing themselves, of course, for more violent protests this evening, their words. There could be as many 30 gatherings. 6,000 cops are on standby. There will be accusations of police overstepping the mark. There will be accusations of the police being heavy-handed, and there will definitely be accusations of two-tier policing, as I just mentioned. Sir Mark Rowley, he's the head honcho over there at the Metropolitan Police. He's called this accusation complete nonsense. So what is behind all of this? What actually is two-tier policing? Is it fact or is it fiction? 0344 499 1000. It's not entirely new, of course. The phrase has been used to suggest that the police are more heavy-handed with people on the right of the political spectrum than they are on the left of the political spectrum. And even before all of this, many had already been propagating the idea in relation to the pro-Palestinian protests, or the anti-Israel protests. Let's call them what they were, what they are. They're still going on. Wouldn't surprise me if one still pops up every now and again. And of course, more recently, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage summed up sentiment when he claimed that ever since the soft policing of Black Lives Matter protests, the impression of two-tier policing has become widespread. I think Farage inadvertently might have hit the nail on the head. I think there is an impression of it. What I sense is going on here, and there's a good reason I say this, by the way. We can all cite examples of where you think the police should have gone into a situation and didn't. Now, whether we like it or not, there are usually, not always, because there are bad decisions made on the ground. That's evident. But usually there is an operational reason behind it. Now, the Black Lives Matter example is actually the most obvious case in point, bearing in mind that Black Lives Matter, a protest group that nobody had heard of half an hour before some incident in the United States that resulted eventually, there was a man killed by the police, there was riots in the street, there was all manner of things, and it was imported almost overnight to this country. Wow, what is this? And of course, the very centre, the core of what BLM was all about was their relationship with the police. So you can kind of see why the chiefs over there at Police HQ were saying, look, we've got to be really careful how we deal with this, because if we go in heavy-handed, then there's going to be real trouble. That will almost play into the very reason or the purpose of the, you know, how do you police something where at the core of the protest is a sort of an anti-police thing? So they had to be really careful on that. There were some over here, there was some unrest in the United States. The place nearly burnt to the ground. It was horrendous, and it was anti-intellectual. It was stupid and meaningless and all the rest of it. But it gave a few whiners a day out, of course. But nonetheless, the policing aspect of it was an operational decision. The police didn't sit there and say, remember, we don't arrest black people. And of course, many will be sitting in their chairs, people listening to this programme who are not white will be going, you don't arrest black people? Have you seen the arrest rate, the ratio of black people versus white people? Stop and search, whether it's in a car, whether it's being pulled over, etc., etc. We can examine the reasons for that another day. But the mere idea that the police have been inactive when it comes to non-whites is demonstrably, historically, not true. In fact, the term two-tier policing was used by blacks before whites for this very reason, right? I mean, that's the whole centre of Black Lives Matter, was that there is a two-tier policing system in place. Broadly speaking, I would suggest these are operational decisions. The police reaction is not the same for every single protest or for every single incident. It ain't two-tier policing. I can remember getting pulled over when I was about 18, driving my Ford Escort around Ashford Ring Road. And I was going a little bit too fast, and the old blues came on in the rear view mirror, and I thought, here we go. Do I go Grand Theft Auto and leg it? I don't think my mum would be very happy. Or do I pull over like a nice polite lad? And I was stopped, and I didn't get a ticket. And my friend, he did get a ticket. He was in a Mark II Escort. I was in a Mark I. That was about a week later. He got a ticket. So his argument was that the police specifically pick out his car, the type of car he was driving. That was his summary He said, yeah, they like your car's an older car. They're all right with that. They think you're more sensible. I've got a Mark II and it had go faster stripes down it. He said there was two-tier policing. This is in the 80s, for God's sake. But there wasn't. I just lucked in on that day. These are operational decisions, I sense, by the police. And the reason I feel strongly about this is because we need to be behind our police. We need to support our police. We need to respect our police. And of course, respect is earned. I get that. They don't get every single decision right, but mostly they do. They put their life on the line. They're the first people you call if they're in trouble, and they are disproportionately at risk of getting seriously injured on protests such as the ones we might see this evening. So support the old bill, please. And when we accuse them of two-tier policing, it shows an complete and utter lack of support and respect for the police, because the average bobby does not go out to do that. Sometimes there is an easier scalp to grab, and I get that. Of course I do. There are stereotyping goes on. But, you know, the fella with the skinhead and the kind of St. George tattoo will say, it's because I look like this. The black guy driving his car will say, it's because I look like this. So there's a bit of confirmation bias going on as well. I don't think there is, I genuinely don't think there is a file sitting somewhere in Scotland Yard or anywhere else around the country that says only arrest these people, don't arrest those. The police are going in for the path of least resistance. They're going in to areas and situations where they are making a judgment on where something is likely to really kick off, where something can remain calmer if they have a more hands-off approach, etc., etc. Where is there more likely to be jip? Are you going to get it there? Are you going to get it there? The women, the waspies who were arguing about their pensions, the older women gathering, were unlikely to kick off, right? There's not... Even who was that Extinction Rebellion who were gluing their genitals to the path and to police cars and God knows what else? Those guys, I mean, they might have been a pain in the neck and blocking roads and stuff. They weren't likely to attack anyone in that respect. So that was treated differently. They, of course, got robust when they needed to. 0344 499 1000. Let me just throw that question right at you. When I say two-tier policing, fact or fiction, 0344 499 1000. That is where you will find us. Claire Muldoon joining us in a moment as we talk about this. Nigel Farage warns Keir Starmer that he doesn't understand the causes of chaos when it comes to those accusations of two-tier policing.